Hey everybody, this is David with Design Build Go, and today we are going to do a 3/4 rack. So I did a full rack here on the channel a little bit ago, and we're going to do a 3/4 rack. But what's cool with this 3/4 is instead of just setting it up in a normal 8-inch spacing between bars, we're going to modify it, and we're going to add quite a few pack outs over here to the top, and it's going to be a pretty cool design, pretty cool setup. So this is what we've got going on Scott's rig here. So we're going to kind of walk you through how we put this together. A lot of it will be redundant if you've already watched the full length video, but we first start with the rails. Obviously we're going to go up here, and I've already got this already disconnected, and this rail's already off, so we're going to start working on those and kind of show you, walk you through it, see what you think. All right, so one of the first things I like to do is remove these off the truck, and you just take a T30, drive these out, and then I leave this loose so you can move it through. We're going to come back and tighten these up, but it just allows you to set it in place a lot easier. So I'll kind of just show you over here, because that's going to take two hands, but you'll see what it looks like set up. So this one's already done and set in, and we'll go ahead and add these other ones. And this is essentially the area where the rack is going to sit against. So I just like getting these out of the way, transferring those, keeping the old pieces here just in case you ever need them. But yeah, that's what we're doing next. Now that we have our rails back on, the next thing I'm going to do is take all these and just assemble them with our bolts. So you notice that these have a textured deal, and that's because they sit in here and they grip. See, you can see that. And then these guys are going to sit in here in this channel. You can see that. So it slides down, and this portion will grip this rail. So, and some of that will be slid in, so it'll actually look like that when we get it there. So next thing I do is I prep all this stuff. These corner end caps are going to be next, so these bolts go with these screws, go with these. But the first thing I'm going to do is prep all this, kind of lay it all out, and then we'll go from there. All right, so on these lateral bars that aren't the ends, you're just going to do one, and you'll know if you put it on right because of the way the logo is orientated. So the little teeth are on the end here, and you see the L the right way. All right, so then on this one, you can see it's all set up, and what we're going to do is on the ends, you're going to do one on the top and the bottom. So I just got this kind of set up for illustrations. But the next thing we're going to do is square this baby up, get it all organized, and I highly recommend using a carpenter square or something along those lines. I like using that because it makes it a lot easier to make sure it's square. The more square it is, the easier the end caps will fit and everything else. All right, so what I like to use is these are T40s over here. So I like to just hand drive these down. It's a lot easier. You're not putting a ton of load on it. But when it fits right, you use this end cap as a check, and you'll see it sits right. And I left this here to kind of give you an idea when it's not right. You see this gap in here? I left that to show you what that looks like. So you'll see as I set up this side, it looks good. The reveal is nice. But then over here, this is way off, right? And that's telling you that it's not in far enough here. That gives you an example of what to look like. Everything at the end should look really proper, like this. Go over it. You know, it's nice, seamless, really well engineered setup. So looks beautiful. So we'll go check all the other ends before we tighten everything down. Then we're going to flip it over and do the same for the other side. All right, so we just turned it over. I set these these lateral bars to the size that we want them for this project. So usually they're 8 inches apart uniformly, but we're putting some pack outs up there and some other things that I'll show you. So the next thing to do is you're going to take these guys. These are the mounts that actually are going to, bolts come through here, and that's what you're going to end up bolting down at the end. So you're going to put 4 on each side. You just simply slide them in. You don't worry about where they are now, it'll be fine. The next thing we're going to do is, you'll see I got to trim a little excess here, but I'm going to put this in. I put these corner caps in to kind of show you. So now that we've got these in, I'm just going to take this, set it in here. Well, it's like impossible to do with one hand, but anyways, this goes in like this, and then we're going to put those bolts in, and this piece sits in here. All right, so this wind deflector for the front is super important. It keeps the noise levels down. So again, I got that trimmed out, and then got all this squared away. When you're putting on these caps, I find it easy to like support it from the bottom, hold it up as you screw it, and they'll fit real nice. And then we could pretty much turn it over and we're ready to install it. Then that's pretty straightforward. We're going to use our pulley system here to do that, to get it on the truck, but I'm going to add a few things to it before then. But this is pretty much, we'll turn it over, we could put it on, but again, I'm adding more. So the last step would be you really set it down on the roof, and then you're going to put these guys on here, these nuts, once they're in the retainers. So I'll show you that, but I do got to add a few more to this. So if you want to fast forward a minute or two, you'll be able to see that. All right, so what we're going to do next is we modified these awning brackets, and why we did that is to make it taller for the Bush Company awning. So with these, you just drop these in. It's the same thing we're going to use to mount other items like these pack outs and the Starlink holder, but these you just set in. They're gonna turn and pivot like that. So if you look, there's only one way they go in, and then I kind of turn them, pivot them, then you know you did it right. And then we're just gonna set this on top, line up our holes with a little screwdriver, lead it in, and then just put these down with a T40. And I just start everything and just like, let's screw it in, get it tight, and then you can come back and visit it and tighten it more. All right, as you get the rack on top, your main concern is this area, keeping this close, and then you tighten all 8 bolts that are under here, and then voila, you're all set.